Part 37. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanchi. Chapter 362. And how could Pan Ya, who had always been calculating and ruthless, be willing to cause unnecessary damage to his team members just for the sake of a high-level beast general? It is strange to say that Pena, who is cruel and selfish to outsiders, cares about his teammates very much. Speaking of the reason, Pan Ya also understands a truth, that is, the truth is that people of different ways should not work together. I don't know what kind of luck it is that 6 people with the same vicious and selfish nature are lucky enough to be together. And although there are many people like them in the world, they are not so easy to find. Instead of having to look for other team members to supplement the team members if they are injured and have a tacit understanding of cooperation, it is better to try to maintain the current manpower. This is one of the reasons why their team has been in the team for so long, even though they are all evil people, but no one has been injured, and there has been no bad blood among the team members. Seeing that Pan Ya lowered his head and thought deeply after hearing his request, Zhang Zihu couldn't help but become anxious and asked, "Captain, can you help me or not?" Before Zhang Zihu could finish speaking, Pan Ya waved his hand to interrupt Zhang Zihu and said calmly, "Tiger, your enemy is naturally the enemy of the 6 of us, of course we will not let them go. I just heard you say that after they went to Area D, I had an idea in my mind." Hearing this, Zhang Zihu suddenly became excited. He didn't remember it at first, forgetting about the high-level beast General Silver Moon Wolf they encountered a few days ago. When he heard Pan Ya mention it, he immediately understood, and the other team members also gathered around excitedly. When Pan Ya saw several team members gathered around him, he suddenly laughed secretly and said, "My plan is..." Half an hour later, the 6 people put on their traveling equipment, drove out of the base in the team's armored vehicle, and headed straight to Area D. Yejuju and the 2 finally entered Area D. As soon as they entered Area D, they encountered several high-level beast soldiers and tiger mastiffs. Although this kind of monster is also at the level of a beast soldier, it is much more ferocious than the iron-haired wild boar that only has brute strength, and it also has materials on it that can be sold. Naturally, they can also get contribution points, and the 2 of them will not let them go easily. The 2 were not polite, each picked 2 and started fighting. Yejuju didn't want to talk about it. He had the ability of a high-level combat master and it was very easy for him to fight the 2 tiger mastiffs. He killed the 2 tiger mastiffs in just a few rounds. Although Luo Feng was not as relaxed as Yejuju, he was still able to dodge easily when being attacked by 2 tiger mastiff dogs. He killed the 2 tiger mastiff dogs a few minutes later than Yejuju. Yejuju could see from the sidelines that Luo Feng's strength had improved a lot compared to that during the warrior assessment. Now he has reached the intermediate level of warriors, between high-level warriors. This made Yejuju have to admire Luo Feng's talent. How long has it been? From the time he passed out during the exam and was hospitalized, to taking the quasi-martial artist test, and then to the warrior assessment until now, his improvement speed is not much slower than Yejuju who has the system. Not to mention that Luo Feng also has the bug skill of telekinesis, coupled with the protagonist's luck, it is no wonder that Luo Feng has been able to thrive in this universe in just a few decades. Collecting all the fangs and claws on the tiger mastiff, the 2 of them continued to go deeper. What the 2 of them didn't know was that Zhang Zihu and 6 others had already entered Area D. After the 6 people entered Area D, their goal was clear and they went straight to the place where the Silver Moon Wolf was hiding. The 6 people were divided into 3 groups. In one group, Li Xiao and He Dong acted as snipers and occupied the high ground to monitor the surrounding situation. One group was Titu and Zhang Zihu. They held small things to lure monsters and drove all the warriors in Area D around the Silver Moon Wolf. They let these warriors fight the Silver Moon Wolf in order to reap the benefits. Purpose. The other group is the most agile one in the team, One Eye, traveling alone in Area D, looking for traces of Yejuju and the others. As the team leader and strongest brain, Pena is responsible for directing the team's actions at any time. Yejuju and the two who were targeted and plotted did not know it yet, but they were killing the high-level beast soldiers from the outside in Area D. It wasn't that Yejuju didn't have the ability to kill more advanced monsters, but it was to allow Luo Feng to adapt to the process of fighting high-level monsters. After all, compared to Yejuju, who has rich fighting experience, although Luo Feng is very talented, his experience in fighting monsters is really far behind. An hour later, One Eye finally found Yejuju and his two men who were killing monsters on the outside. After finding the two people, One Eye immediately reported the news of the discovery to Pena. Before Pena could make arrangements, Zhang Zihu anxiously shouted into the headset. "What are you waiting for, Captain? Let me take Ironhead to kill them. What's the rush? If you kill those two cubs with one knife, how can you relieve your anger by letting the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf tear them into pieces and swallow them into feces? Finally, it's up to you to kill the Silver Moon Wolf and avenge them. Hey. Maybe, when they get to the underworld, they will thank you for avenging them." Panya immediately stopped Zhang Zihu and told his plan viciously. Hearing this, Zhang Zihu, who was originally anxious, was stunned for a moment, and then laughed excitedly. Then, Pena asked Duyan to use small objects to gather all the monsters outside the area, and drove Yejuju and the two to the Silver Moon Wolf's hiding place. At the same time, a team that was obviously different from the warrior team also entered this area. This team looked very organized and was obviously not an ordinary warrior team. There was also a young and beautiful girl in the team. If Yejuju and Luo Feng were here, they would recognize at a glance that this girl was Luo Feng's secret object, Su Xian. What Yejuju didn't expect was that things in this world were so coincidental. Although he and Luo Feng went out in advance, Su Xian actually entered the wild at this time. Naturally, because Su Xian and others had not encountered danger, Luo Feng's team in the play, the Fire Hammer team, had not received a mission to enter here. One-Eyed left insidiously and drove a large number of low-level beast soldiers on the periphery to the area where Yejuju and the others were. The purpose was simple, which was to use a large number of low-level monsters to force Yejuju and the others to the depths of Area D. Soon, Yejuju, who was killing several monsters, found something wrong. The monsters seemed to be increasing in number, and they all looked like worthless low-level beast soldier monsters. They also looked a little crazy. Seeing this, Yejuju couldn't help but feel moved. Thinking of the fact that there were some sinister warrior teams in the play, they used some small things and means to gather monsters and kill some warriors to achieve their own ulterior motives. And Zhang Zihu's Tiger Fang team was one of them. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 363. Thinking of this, Yejuju was naturally not as confused as Luo Feng, and he immediately knew something was wrong. Without any explanation, all the mechanical flies were immediately released from the space, allowing the Red Queen to control and monitor the situation within a 5-kilometer radius. While leading Luo Feng, he quickly went deep into Area D, avoiding more and more low-level beast soldiers. Soon, in Yejuju's mind, he saw a thin middle-aged man with a pointed chin following the two of them furtively in the picture of the message sent from the Red Queen. Yejuju recognized who this person was at a glance. Isn't it the one-eyed one in the HUYA team who is the fastest and is good at sneak attacks with 2 daggers? As soon as he saw this person, Yejuju understood that the two of them had met the HUYA team in the wild. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Although he didn't know it, HUYA team deliberately came out to kill the two of them after getting the news that they were out. But this did not prevent Yejuju from using his plan to strike first and kill these 6 people first. Yejuju sneered at the rule that the Warrior Alliance was not allowed to kill warriors in the wild. Although there are many monsters and few warriors in this world, Yejuju doesn't care about these. In his opinion, only by eliminating the evil ones among the warriors can more warriors unite to deal with the monsters together. Otherwise, once in a moment of crisis, humanity is truly in danger when it is destroyed by these people. After discovering one eye, Yejuju did not remind Luo Feng, but continued to lead Luo Feng deeper and deeper. It's not that he can't kill one eye, it's just that he doesn't want to alert the snake. After all, it's either not to kill, or to kill all 6 of them to eliminate all future troubles. He is confident, not to mention that he is not inferior to the junior generals in strength now, even a Red Queen can be of great help to him. Think about it, there are 100 mechanical flies monitoring the situation within a 5-kilometer radius. Regardless of whether the HUYA team is 6 people, it is still 4 generals and 2 high-level warriors. Every move they make is under his surveillance. It is absolutely impossible for them to secretly trick him like in the play. As for the 2 snipers, Yejuju wanted to kill them, but it was just a matter of effort. Don't forget, Yejuju is not like them and cannot fly. As long as Yejuju puts on his armor and kills them. Very easy. At this moment, Luo Feng seemed to realize something was wrong. While running quickly, he said to Yejuju, "Brother, yeah, that's not right. We didn't see a single monster along the way, which is very unusual." Hearing this, Yejuju had to look at Luo Feng with admiration and said in his heart, "This Luo Feng is worthy of being the protagonist of this world, and his mind is so sensitive. Of course this is wrong. If nothing else, this is what the HUYA team did. Gathering the low-level monsters from the periphery, forcing the 2 of them deep into the depths, but not encountering any monsters along the way, what else is there to say? This is just to send the 2 of them into their ambush." Thinking of this, Yejuju did not intend to hide anything from Luo Feng, and said in a deep voice to Luo Feng beside him, "Yes. If my guess is correct, these things are man-made." Hearing Yejuju's words, Luo Feng suddenly exclaimed "Ah," but he immediately reacted and lowered his voice and said softly, "Brother, yeah, you mean? Well. Anyway, it's better to be careful, once it's confirmed. I hope you can be ruthless." After saying that, Yejuju stopped talking and continued running forward. Behind him, Luo Feng's expression turned ugly. After a sudden change, he finally gritted his teeth and seemed to have made a decision. However, Yejuju did not expect that along the way, he would not only encounter an ambush from the HUYA team, but also encounter the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf, a high-level beast general who appeared in the play. In fact, it's not surprising that Yejuju didn't think of it. Because when he was watching the anime, he didn't know that the Silver Moon Wolf was here. Because in the anime, the details are really not explained clearly. Half an hour later, the 2 entered the depths of Area D. Yejuju also saw the 6 members of the HUYA team in the picture sent back by the Red Queen. In addition, we also saw other teams of warriors who were also driven around by monsters. None of these warrior teams were as relaxed as the 2 of them. While escaping this way, they had to fight with the high-level beast soldiers that kept appearing, and casualties soon appeared. As for Yejuju and the others, why didn't they encounter any monster attacks along the way? Very simple. Because the 2 of them came in after the monsters in Area D were mobilized, and the previous monsters were all lured together by Zhang Zihu to surround other warrior teams. At this moment, a picture came from the Red Queen that made Yejuju unexpected. In the picture, a team of warriors whose strength was much weaker than Huya were fighting a huge wolf-shaped monster with purple flames all over its body. The wolf-shaped monster was very ferocious and extremely powerful. It only took a few rounds to kill the 2 warrior teams. Then it turned around and glared at the many tiger mastiffs following it, and paced back slowly in its nest. Seeing this, Yejuju finally understood why the HUYA team went to such great lengths to drive the 2 of them and the surrounding warrior teams here. Feelings, Panya and Zhang Zihu not only wanted to kill themselves to vent their anger, but also wanted to let warriors like them fight the Silver Moon Wolf, so that both sides would suffer and reap the benefits. Thinking of this, Yejuju could not help but say coldly, "Hee hee. You want to kill me, and you want me to make you wedding clothes? Hee hee. Then let's see who is the fisherman in the end and who will win." Thinking of this, Yejuju no longer planned to indulge Luo Feng, and said to Luo Feng beside him without looking back, "Luo Feng, I know who is going to deal with us." "Who?" Luo Feng blurted out, then reacted and said, "Is it Huya team?" "Yes. It's them." Yejuju was very satisfied with Luo Feng's acumen, and then said, "They obviously didn't do it once or twice. If they try to deal with us, I will make them regret doing so." Luo Feng solemnly agreed, his eyes full of coldness and ruthlessness. Obviously, Luo Feng was also angry, and decided to teach the members of Huya team a lesson, even if he exposed his trump card, mental power. Sure enough, after just staying for a while, Yejuju found several junior beast-level monsters and two-tailed tiger cats running towards the building where the two of them were. Seeing the appearance of these two-tailed tiger cats, they seemed to be attracted by something. Yejuju's heart moved and he searched carefully around him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 364. After a while, I found a small white thing from an inconspicuous corner and put the little thing into the space without any ceremony. Searched can on Google. When I looked back, I saw that the two-tailed tiger cats had indeed stopped approaching. After turning around in circles for a few times, they ran in another direction. Obviously, without the little things to attract the monsters, these monsters' noses are not that sharp and they cannot find Yejuju and the two. Zhang Zihu, who was hiding in the distance, saw that the two-tailed tiger cat that had originally passed towards Yejuju turned around and left. He punched the wall next to him angrily, punching a big hole in the wall, and said bitterly, "Damn it, these two people are so lucky, they managed to escape the monster attack. He has no brains, but that doesn't mean that Peña has no brains. The monster's sudden departure cannot be a coincidence, it must be something done by those two boys." Although he guessed something, Peña did not act rashly. After comforting Zhang Zihu, who wanted to show up in person to seek revenge on Yejuju and the others, Peña asked One Eye to find a way to lead Yejuju and the two to the Silver Moon Wolf. After receiving this order, One Eye laughed sinisterly. Like Captain Peña, he is also a mid-level warrior. Although his strength in frontal combat is not the strongest, when it comes to sneak attacks and intrigues from behind, he is only slightly worse than Peña. As for luring Yejuju and the two to the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf, it's not something that can be easily captured. So One Eye started to take action. As soon as he moved, the Red Queen who was watching him immediately told Yejuju, who also quietly hid his figure and placed 3 mechanical traps on the path that One Eye must pass. Of course Yejuju knew that the current mechanical trap would not have any effect on the one-eyed senior warrior, but it was good to use it to disgust that guy. Sure enough, One Eye, who sneaked over, touched the trap without any surprise. Whoosh whoosh, a series of steel ball arrows shot out, which really startled Duyan. Because the attack of this thing was too intensive, One Eye subconsciously spread out his body to dodge in fear, but suddenly found that the power of this thing was so weak, it was not as powerful as the firearms and weapons before the monster broke out. He just subconsciously dodged and dodged all the arrows and steel balls that were fired. After the steel ball arrows in the trap were shot, One Eye was still a little unable to react, and he couldn't understand why Yejuju and the two used this thing as a defensive weapon. But in the next moment, One Eye understood that this thing was not a defensive weapon, it was more like a toy. but Yejuju and the two used this thing to deal with themselves. How much do they look down on themselves? Thinking of this, One Eye's already small-mindedness became even smaller, and he wished he could immediately kill the two of them into pieces. If he hadn't remembered Peña's order, he would have gone ahead and killed the two of them on the spot. Seeing the constipated expression on One Eye's face in the surveillance screen, Yejuju couldn't help but laugh to himself. Then, One Eye continued to touch behind Yejuju and the two of them, trying to attract their attention and lead them to the lair of the Silver Moon Wolf. It's a pity that Yejuju had known about his arrival for a long time, so how could he fall into his trap? Just when One Eye deliberately made noise to attract the attention of the two people, although Luo Feng was surprised by the sudden appearance of One Eye, he was smart enough not to step forward to ask, but took precautions. Yejuju even glanced sideways at Duyan and ignored him at all. One Eye was immediately stunned by the two people's reactions. You must know that it is very easy to meet warriors in the wild. In the past, even if they encountered a vigilant warrior team, they would not remain silent like Yejuju and the others. This made Duyan embarrassed. He originally thought that after asking the two of them, he would say that he had met an intermediate beast general and asked them to help him kill the monster and then share the resources equally. Of course, he also knew that just by saying this, the two of them would not believe it. However, his purpose was not to let the two of them follow him immediately, but to let the two of them know that there were more than just the two of them here. No matter what they thought, he just wanted to attract their attention. Naturally, others will lead the two of them there later. In fact, this method is not clever, but it is very effective. If the two of them are curious, they will naturally follow One Eye quietly to take a look after One Eye leaves, and they will be plotted by Peña and others. Even if the two of them were not curious, after being surrounded by the beasts, they would subconsciously approach the location of One Eye, and naturally they would fall into Peña's plan. In short, as long as the two of them interact with One Eye, they will be plotted by Peña. Unfortunately, neither Yejuju nor Yejuju spoke, which made Duyan scold Yejuju and Yejuju 10,000 times in his heart. Finally, Duyan said shamelessly, "You two, are you interested in joining me to kill a lone mid-level beast general?" "Not interested." Yejuju and Luo Feng answered him in unison. Reading One Eye's smile that he had managed to put on suddenly became unbearable, and he wanted to kill them directly. Fortunately, One Eye is not an impulsive person. He finally suppressed the anger in his heart and said sarcastically, "Okay. I'm leaving." After saying that, One Eye deliberately walked out of the building in front of the two of them and walked towards the location of the Silver Moon Wolf. But around the corner, he slipped away quietly, giving the two of them the illusion that he and his people were right in front of them. After watching One Eye leave, Luo Feng asked doubtfully, "Brother Ye, there's something wrong with that man just now. There's no trace of him having been in the wild for a long time. He doesn't look like he's fought a monster." "Hey. You're very smart, Luo Feng." Hearing Luo Feng's words, Yejuju couldn't help but praise, and then continued, "You are really careless. Knowing that Zhang Zihu is your enemy and a member of HUYA team, don't you know about the situation of these people in advance? That person just now was the One Eye of HUYA team. And the reason why we were driven here by low-level monsters was because he did it quietly from behind. Do you understand?" Not as expected, Luo Feng was not surprised. Instead, he said with a firm and steady face, "I'm sorry, Brother Ye, I will definitely be careful in the future and won't make this kind of mistake again. But, Brother Ye, do you know the purpose of One Eye coming here? Haha. What else is there to lure us into an ambush?" "Yeah. I understand. So, Brother Ye, what should we do?" It was strange why Luo Feng was so calm. Yejuju did not pursue it, but looked at the tallest building in the distance and said, "There are a lot of people here. Wait a minute, let's be fishermen too." Across the heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 365. Hearing this, Luo Feng said, but he was tactful and didn't ask what he was thinking. In the distance, Li Xiao, who was watching Yejuju and his partner, saw Yejuju's vague gaze in the scope, and couldn't help but jump in his heart. Pan Ya's order was issued, asking Li Xiao and He Dong to attack Yejuju and his partner, and Zhang Zihu and his partner to place small things to gather the monsters to their positions and drive them to the position of the Silver Moon Wolf. The next moment, Li Xiao and He Dong aimed at Yejuju and his partner, ready to shoot. But the two were still in the scope the second before, and suddenly disappeared when they were about to shoot. This was intentional by Yejuju. Red Queen, who was watching them at all times, reminded Yejuju when she found that Li Xiao and He Dong were about to shoot. Although Yejuju didn't know what they were going to do, he would not expose himself to the muzzle of the gun, and immediately pulled Luo Feng to hide in the blind spot of their sight. Luo Feng was pulled by Yejuju to hide, and he sensitively knew that someone was going to attack them, so he hid with Yejuju without saying anything. Seeing the two hiding, Zhang Zihu and the others immediately came out from the dark and placed the small things around the building. Sure enough, after waiting for a while, the roar of the monsters sounded, and then more than 10 monsters appeared and surrounded the building. Yejuju had seen all this from the picture sent by Red Queen, and knew that it was impossible for him to continue hiding. He turned his head and said to Luo Feng, "It seems that we can't hide anymore, get ready for battle." After that, Yejuju reminded again. "Remember, those who want us to die are not only those monsters, but also the people of the Tiger Fang squad. Do you know what to do? Oh, and if the two of us act together, the target is too big, so let's act separately." After that, Yejuju didn't care what Luo Feng thought. He wanted to act alone so that he could put on the armor and kill the Tiger Fang squad and the Silver Moon Wolf. Seeing Yejuju leaving alone, Luo Feng was greatly relieved. After he knew that it was the Tiger Fang team who did it, he wanted to kill these people. First, he didn't want to worry about these people framing him in the wild in the future. Second, he was worried that if they couldn't deal with him in the wild, they would attack his family. Zhang Houbai is a lesson learned from the past. But to kill those people, he couldn't fight them head-on, and he could only defeat them one by one and attack them secretly. And to attack secretly, of course, he could only use his mental power skill. Before, he was still hesitant about whether to expose his mental power skill in front of Yejuju. Now that Yejuju left alone, it just happened to suit Luo Feng's wishes, so he wouldn't blame Yejuju for abandoning him. In this way, the two of them hid in the ruins of the building on each side and moved forward. The difference is that Yejuju has Red Queen monitoring Pan Ya and others, and he can avoid the sight of Pan Ya and others all the way. At this time, Yejuju had already put on his armor. The reason why he did not fly into the air and attack Pan Ya and others directly was that he was worried that these people would scatter and flee once they found that they were no match for Yejuju. Since Yejuju planned to kill Pan Ya and others here, he naturally did not want to give them a chance to escape. And the best way was to approach them quietly, and kill them secretly after Luo Feng was exposed and attracted the attention of several people. Sure enough, Luo Feng was still a novice after all, and his experience in the wild was not as good as Yejuju and others. It was not long before Zhang Zihu discovered Luo Feng, who was sneaking over. As the saying goes, enemies are particularly jealous when they meet. Zhang Zihu could no longer control his anger at this time, and shouted, "Boy, I was just looking for you, and you came to me. Today I will let you know what the consequences of offending me, Zhang Zihu, are." After speaking, Zhang Zihu picked up a huge knife stuck in the ground and strode towards Luo Feng. He didn't know that Luo Feng showed up on purpose. His purpose was to lure Zhang Zihu out alone and find a way to kill him. This was not because Luo Feng was reckless. He knew that Zhang Zihu had the strength of a high-level warrior, but he still came to tease him. In fact, he had the confidence to kill Zhang Zihu. Although his strength is not as good as Zhang Zihu's now, don't forget that he still has the trump card of mental power. The mental power user can kill the enemy by one level, not to mention that he is more confident. Looking at Zhang Zihu, who was chasing Luo Feng away, Pan Ya couldn't help frowning. He always felt that things didn't seem to be as he planned, which was very abnormal. He wanted to catch up and take a look, but he was worried about the silver moon wolf that was about to be caught, because at this time, the silver moon wolf had more and more wounds on its body. It was the end of its strength, so it couldn't let others get away with it. This was the result of his plan. Many warrior teams were lured or forced to the silver moon wolf's lair. With monsters in front and behind, these warriors would fight the silver moon wolf desperately. As a result, more and more warriors died, and the silver moon wolf naturally had more and more wounds. Pan Ya looked at the silver moon wolf, which was not as active as before, and finally asked Tito to chase Zhang Zihu to prevent Zhang Zihu from getting into trouble. Yejuju also saw the three people leaving, so he was not worried that Luo Feng would die in Zhang Zihu's hands. He knew how smart Luo Feng was. You could tell by how he killed all the members of the Tiger Fang team one by one and even killed Li Yao's son. He was not worried about Luo Feng and waited for the result from the silver moon wolf. Yes, he was waiting for the result there. Whether the remaining warrior team won or the silver moon wolf killed everyone, the remaining 4 members of the Tiger Fang team would show up, and that would be Yejuju's chance to take action. On the other side, Luo Feng had already taken Zhang Zihu and the other 2 into an abandoned building, and it seemed that the 2 sides were about to fight. Here, there were only a few warriors left besieging the silver moon wolf, and Pan Ya finally moved. Li Xiao and He Dong were left on the upper floors of the building, ready to support Pan Ya and Du Yan at any time, while Pan Ya and Du Yan had already sneaked to the battlefield. Yejuju also moved at this time, hiding behind the building where Li Xiao and the other 2 were standing. Yejuju activated the armor and flew to the top floor of the building with a whoosh. The sound of the thrusters immediately startled Li Xiao and He Dong, who turned around very quickly. They saw a man covered in armor floating in front of them. Before they could ask in surprise, Yejuju had already launched an attack. With his hands spread out, 2 crystal clear knives appeared in Yejuju's hands. With their eyesight, they could even see the cold air emanating from the 2 knives. Swoosh! Yejuju rushed over, and from a distance of 5 meters, he waved his hand and 2 white knife auras slashed at the 2 people. Ah! Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 366. The 2 stood up and screamed, and rolled on the ground, trying to roll out of the attack range of the sword energy. At the same time, Li Xiao shouted in the headset. "Boss, we are attacked." It was only in time to shout this. Yejuju's speed was so fast. Not to mention that he had a speed of 52 meters, and after wearing the armor, it was almost twice the speed of sound. How could the 2 of them dodge easily? 2 sword energies were slashed out, and Yejuju had already rushed to the side of the 2 people with the sword energy. The ice knife slashed down at a weird angle and chopped on the neck of He Dong, who was just about to stand up. Ah! With a scream, He Dong, who was a junior warrior, was beheaded. Looking at the broken neck and head, a layer of white ice was wrapped. Hearing He Dong's scream, Li Xiao's heart beat wildly uncontrollably, and he shot without thinking. With a bang, a dull gunshot sounded. Yejuju sensed danger and turned his head slightly to avoid the bullet on his head. The thrusters under his feet started, and he turned his body sideways and fiercely hit Li Xiao, who wanted to take the opportunity to get up. It was also unlucky for these 2 people. Although they had the strength of junior generals, they were used to long-range sniping, and close combat was not their strong point. Secondly, after Yejuju put on the armor, his speed was comparable to that of a senior general. How could Li Xiao, a mere junior general, react? This is why Yejeju killed He Dong in one encounter. And Li Xiao was also hit hard in the chest by Yejeju, and his body flew out of the building involuntarily and fell to the ground. Fortunately, he was a junior general after all. After his body flew out, the blood and qi in the place where Yejeju hit his chest were activated, and then his whole body could move. When he was about to turn over in the air and readjust his body, Yejeju had already rushed out, and while his body was still in the air, he waved his hands one after another, and two white blades crossed and slashed at Li Xiao's body, who was still in the air. Li Xiao was so frightened that he didn't care about the precious weapon in his hand. He quickly put the sniper rifle in his hand across his body, trying to block Yejeju's two crossed blades. With a muffled sound of bang, the blade was blocked by Li Xiao, but he couldn't block the powerful force contained in the blade. Li Xiao was in the air, and he spit out a mouthful of blood with a wow, and his face turned pale at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yejeju was relentless, and his hand and foot thrusters exerted force together. With a hum, he rushed to Li Xiao's body, raised his hand and slashed at Li Xiao's neck. This time, Li Xiao was no longer able to resist. He watched the ice knife enlarge in his sight, and finally felt a pain in his neck, and then felt dizzy, and saw his headless body falling to the ground quickly. Without paying attention to Li Xiao's head still spinning in the air, he accelerated to catch up with Li Xiao's body and unceremoniously put the sniper rifle that he was holding tightly in his hand into the space. After landing on the ground, he unceremoniously stripped off his armor and put it into the space. On the other side, Pan Ya and Du Yan were already fighting with the Silver Moon Wolf, which was at the end of its strength. When they heard Li Xiao's call for help, it was too late to rescue him. He and Du Yan were already entangled by the Silver Moon Wolf. Seeing that they could not rescue him in time, Pan Ya had to fight with the vague wolf while anxiously shouting in the headset. "Li Xiao, He Dong, what's the situation?" Unfortunately, the only answer he got was silence. Realizing that something was wrong, Pan Ya immediately regretted it beyond words. It was not that he regretted being calculated by others, and the life and death of Li Xiao and the others were unknown, but he regretted why he was so careless and trapped himself in the Silver Moon Wolf. Yejeju killed Li Xiao and the other two, and rushed out of the battlefield without hesitation. Hiding in the shadows, watching Pan Ya and Du Yan cooperate tacitly around the Silver Moon Wolf, constantly cutting wounds on its body with the dagger in their hands, I have to give them a thumbs up. It is really worthy of being a warrior with the strength of an intermediate general. This combat experience is rich. However, Yejeju does not intend to step forward to help. Isn't it better for him to be a fisherman? Whether the Silver Moon Wolf dies at the hands of the two or the two die under the claws of the Silver Moon Wolf, it is a good thing for Yejeju. Although Pan Ya is fighting with the Silver Moon Wolf, he is always paying attention to the surrounding situation. It has been 2 minutes since he lost contact with Li Xiao and the others. Although Yejeju did not show up, he just felt that there was danger around him. This feeling is not good. He was scared, and thought quickly in his heart how to save his life. Yes. As smart as he is not thinking about how to kill the Silver Moon Wolf or Yejeju who killed his teammate, and avenge his teammates, but how to leave here alive. Although he has always been a vindictive person, vicious and arrogant, he is the most sensible person. No matter how weak Li Xiao and He Dong are, they are still junior generals. Not to mention him who is good at close combat and is an intermediate general. Even if he is a junior god of war, it is impossible to kill two people so quickly. But the two of them just disappeared in such a short time. You can imagine how powerful the person who came is. How could he deal with such a person? So he thought of escaping. Naturally, he would not bring the one-eyed man with him when he escaped, because the one-eyed man, he could only stay behind to cover him and buy more time for him to escape. The one-eyed man actually had the same idea in his mind. Didn't he see that when he fought with the Silver Moon Wolf, his movements seemed extremely fast but he didn't use as much force as before? Although Yejuju didn't see the two's little thoughts, he could see whether they were fighting with all their heart. Seeing that the two were not like before, but left room for maneuver, Yejuju thought that they guessed that he was nearby and were holding back to trick him, so they would not show up now. On the other side, Luo Feng had been beaten to a pulp by Zhang Zihu and the other two, and he was hit several times by Zhang Zihu and Titu. Seeing Luo Feng being knocked to the ground again, the two couldn't help but feel proud, and didn't notice that in this small space, Luo Feng had placed several of his mind-flying knives on the ground every time he fell to the ground. As long as Luo Feng had a thought, he could quietly command the flying knives to shoot into the backs of the two. Zhang Zihu was chasing after the fallen Luo Feng with big strides, when he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back like a needle. His instinct from fighting monsters for many years told him that if someone attacked him from behind, he should instinctively take defensive actions. Unfortunately, he had just raised the giant knife in his hand, and before he turned sideways, he felt a few faint black shadows flashing in the corner of his eyes. He felt a pain in his chest and neck, and then he lost consciousness. It was Luo Feng who took advantage of the opportunity when Zhang Zihu's back was completely exposed, and controlled the telekinetic flying knife to pierce Zhang Zihu's back and neck. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 367. The giant knife in his hand had just been raised. Before he could turn around, he felt a few dark shadows flash through the corner of his eye. He felt pain in his chest and neck, and he lost consciousness. But it was Luo Feng who took advantage of Zhang Zihu's back being completely exposed and controlled the telekinetic flying knife to pierce the back of Zhang Zihu's heart and neck. Zhang Zihu's death was very frustrating. He, a high-ranking martial artist, died in Luo Feng's hands without any resistance. However, Titu, who was waiting to watch the show, was frightened. He was stunned for a moment, and Titu shouted in horror. Road. Searched Can on Google. Ah. You are actually a spiritual master. If you kill the tiger, the boss will not let it go. After saying that, he seemed to think that Zhang Zihu, who was also a high-level warrior, died in Luo Feng's hands. If he still threatened Luo Feng, he would also die in Luo Feng's hands. Thinking of this, Titu couldn't help but take 2 steps back and said with a fearful expression. No, it's not. If you let me go, I will tell the boss that it was Zhang Zihu who wanted to kill you, so you killed me. Luo Feng is not a person who talks nonsense. Since he has already killed Zhang Zihu, he will not show mercy to Titu. You must know that the Warrior Alliance punishes warriors who massacre warriors very severely. If you want to avoid any danger afterwards, you will naturally not be merciful once you take action, and you must eradicate the root cause. Not to mention that Titu was a member of the Huya squadron. He had been chasing him with Zhang Zihu before. Just so that no one would know that he killed Zhang Zihu, he would kill everyone and silence him. He also believed that not only he would kill these 2 people, but also Brother Yet. He will not let the remaining members of the Huya team go. I don't know why, but Luo Feng believed in Yejuju so much and believed that Yejuju had the ability to kill the 4 of Pan Yat. Seeing Luo Feng stand up from the ground indifferently, with 6 red telepathy flying knives with black lines on his open right hand, floating in the sky above his palm, Titu felt inexplicable fear in his heart, so much so that he couldn't help but swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Luo Feng spoke at this moment and said. Isn't this the first time you have used lures to gather monsters to surround and kill warriors? Since you can ignore the rules of the Warriors Alliance, then is it natural for me to kill you? Hearing Luo Feng's words, Titu immediately knew something was wrong. He turned around and ran out without hesitation. He wanted to escape from here, escape back to the boss, and kill Luo Feng with the help of 5 people. Otherwise, if Luo Feng's strength continues to improve, even if their HUYA team is a combined force of 5, they will have to stay in the base if they don't want to die, and they won't dare to go anywhere. Naturally, Luo Feng would not let Tita run away like this, so he raised his feet and chased after him. The telekinetic flying knife in his hand was also controlled by his mind and shot towards Tita's back. Feeling the feeling of light on his back, Tita stretched out his hand to take off the shield on his back, and kept running forward with his feet. Pity. Although he is 1 level higher than Luo Feng as a high-level warrior, he is not fast enough because he is good at strength. He cannot escape so easily. No. The needle-like feeling on his back was getting closer and closer. Tita had to stop in fear, turned around, and raised the shield in front of him to block the vital parts of his chest and abdomen. Pity. He once again underestimated the ability of the telepathic user. The flying knife drew a strange arc in front of the shield, bypassed the shield and came to both sides of his body. There were 2 sounds of poof, and Tita let out 2 screams of pain, but 2 telekinetic flying knives penetrated deeply between his ribs through the gaps in his armor. This wasn't over yet. The remaining 4 telekinetic flying knives shot at his eyes and neck respectively under his horrified gaze. It must be said that the response of the senior warrior was pretty good. At the critical moment, Tita instinctively defended himself, lowered his head and shrunk his tall and strong body, and waved the shield in his hand one after another, actually blocking the attacks of 4 flying knives. Pity. He forgot about the fact that Luo Feng was a telepathic person. The 2 flying knives that had been pierced into his ribs were pulled out, and they were pierced through the gaps in the armor again. Ah! A shrill scream came out, and all Tita's defensive movements couldn't help but pause for a moment. 4 flying knives attacked at once, and before he could react, they pierced into his neck. Well. Looking at Luo Feng in disbelief, the shield in Tita's hand fell to the ground weakly, making a clanging sound. He raised his hands to cover his neck, but he could not cover the flying knife that was pulled away. Blood spurted out. On the other side, Su Xian's convoy was besieged by a large group of 2-tailed tiger cats, and the warriors accompanying the team were struggling to resist the monster's attack. Yejuju looked at Panya and the 2 people who were becoming more and more careless, and wanted to see in a funny way which of the 2 would abandon their companions first and escape alone. Yes. After a while, Yejuju finally figured out the 2 people's plan. They wanted to use their companions to block all dangers and escape from here. It's a pity, how could Yejuju let them get their wish? If this was replaced by an ordinary warrior under the god of war, he might not be able to catch up with the 2 people who are good at speed, but Yejuju? Don't forget, Yejuju can fly. How can the silver moon wolf on the ground stop him? Sure enough, it was as expected by Yejuju. During the fight, Pan Yaman took advantage of the moment when One Eye was entangled by the silver moon wolf, and Pan Yaman rushed forward, using his maximum speed. Almost leaving an afterimage on the spot, he rushed past Silver Moon Wolf and One Eye. Boss! One Eye's unwilling shouting sounded from behind Pena. Before One Eye could watch Pena escape unwillingly, he heard a buzz sound behind him, and then a black shadow flashed past. The one-eyed man saw in disbelief that it only took more than a second for the black shadow to catch up with Panya, and a white sword energy slashed towards Panya's back. Panya was experienced in fighting, and when he noticed something was wrong behind him, he immediately threw himself on the ground. As soon as he landed, he stood up with several quick rolls, which allowed him to avoid Yejuju's sword energy. Pity. With this delay, Pena completely lost the chance to escape. Knowing that she couldn't escape, Pena calmed down and no longer felt afraid. Because from Yejuju's sword energy just now, he could tell that the person who attacked him was only a junior general. Looking at Yejuju, whose whole body was covered in armor he had never seen before, Panya held the dagger up and down with both hands in a fighting posture, looked at Yejeju and said in a deep voice. Who are you? Why did you attack me secretly? Aren't you afraid that the warrior alliance will find out and punish you? Laugh. As the sound fell, Yejeju's disdainful laughter rang out, and then he heard Yejeju say. Sneak attack. The rules of the warrior's alliance. Oh. If you still take the rules of the warrior alliance to heart, you won't use tricks to lure monsters to attack other warrior teams. As for who I am? Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuan-Chi. Chapter 368. After a pause, Yejeju continued. Didn't you let Duyan, Zhang Zihu, and Titu surround us and kill us? You still don't know who I am. What? Even though Panya had a vague guess in her heart, she was still shocked when she heard Yejeju say it himself. He really didn't expect that two novice warriors who were just starting out would have such strength. Then, he suddenly seemed to understand something, his eyes became hot, and he looked at the armor Yejeju was wearing. When he thought about it, Yejeju could be so powerful, kill Li Xiao and He Dong, and still catch up with himself as an intermediate general, all because Yejeju was wearing a battle armor that he had never seen before. If he could kill Yejeju and get that armor, he might be able to become a high-level warrior. It has to be said that Panya is too greedy. Once he sees the huge benefits, he will be a little bit stupid. He also didn't want to think about it. He was just an intermediate general. No matter how different Li Xiao and He Dong were, they were still junior generals. Together, they were almost killed by Yejeju. Could he kill Yejeju alone? If he and Duanyan worked together, there might be a 1% chance, alone. He. Not to mention that Panya was thinking about the armor on Yejeju, even Duyan, who was still fighting the Silver Moon Wolf, thought of this and had the same idea. Just this bit of greed cost him no chance of escape. Because, if at this time, he ignored the Silver Moon Wolf's pursuit, he might be able to escape from here with the Silver Moon Wolf. Even if he is being chased by the Silver Moon Wolf, he might still have a chance to escape. If you stay here, you are destined to be killed by Yejeju. Out of greed, if he hadn't been pestered by the Silver Moon Wolf, he would have sneak attacked Yejeju from behind. In order to stabilize Yejeju and give him a chance to sneak attack, Panya deliberately lowered the dagger in both hands and said in a harmless manner. I think you misunderstood, how could I do such a thing? We are here just to kill the Silver Moon Fierce Wolf and to cause trouble during the battle, so we drive out the monsters here. As he spoke, Panya raised his head slightly and motioned Yejeju to look at the Silver Moon Wolf behind him. Pity. He miscalculated. Yejeju did not look back at the Silver Moon Wolf as he thought, giving him a chance to sneak attack. Panya's eyes flashed with disappointment. When he wanted to continue to fool Yejeju, he heard Yejeju say. I'm the same as you, I'll feel at ease only if I kill my enemies. So. You can go die. As soon as the sound fell, Yejeju activated the propellers of his hands and feet at the same time, and with a buzz sound, his figure flashed in front of Panya. Panya is worthy of being a mid-level warrior, and his reaction speed even impressed Yejeju. Panya was still able to react to such a sudden attack. In a critical moment, he put the daggers in his hands together to block Yejeju's knife. Then, the two of them started attacking and defending each other back and forth. During the battle, Yejeju finally had a clear understanding of the strength of warriors in this world. In the past, he thought that the warriors in this world were just relying on the influence of the virus and their physical fitness was stronger. Their fighting experience could never compare to his own. Although he guessed well, Panya's fighting skills were indeed inferior to his own, but just because they had risen from junior warriors to warriors step by step, their combat experience was no less than that of Yejeju. Perhaps due to their long-term experience of danger, their instinctive reactions were terrifying. No matter how sophisticated Yejeju's skills were, they could still resist them instinctively. This was beyond Yejeju's expectation, and he no longer dared to underestimate Li Yao and others who were later killed by Yejuju. The strength of the generals is like this, and the strength of the god of war can be imagined. So, what are the strengths of Hong and Lei? It seems you should make good use of all your resources and time and work hard to improve your strength. Otherwise, when we meet Li Yao later, it will not be so wonderful. While Yejuju was fighting Pan Ya, he still had time to think about this. I have to say that Yejuju's strength was really terrifying. Anyway, that's how it seems to Pena. It is not unreasonable at all for the strength of a junior general to fight an intermediate general who is good at close combat, but it seems to be easier than him. You must know that the level gap between warriors is not as simple as it sounds. It is not only the gap in strength, speed, and reaction, but also the huge gap in combat experience. However, this restriction has no limit on Yejuju. Why? After fighting for a while, Pan Ya finally realized that Yejuju's fighting skills were much better than his own. Compared to the experience and skills they gained from fighting monsters, they were infinitely more sophisticated. It's like the difference between amateur and professional, the gap is so big. Pena was so depressed that she even felt. If his strength, speed, and reaction were not slightly stronger than Yejuju's, he might have died under Yejuju's sword. At this moment, Yejuju received a notice from the Red Queen, saying that Luo Feng had arrived. In order not to completely expose his strength to Luo Feng, Yejuju decided not to delay anymore and used his ultimate move to quickly deal with Pan Ya and Duyan. During the battle, Yejuju used all his strength to activate the power of ice in his body. The next second, something happened that frightened Pan Ya and Duyan. Because during the battle, a large amount of white mist continued to pour out from the white light circle on Yejuju's chest. The temperature of the mist was extremely low. In just a blink of an eye, a layer of white frost condensed on the surrounding walls and ground. What was even more terrifying was that as mid-level warriors, they were obviously not afraid of the cold, but they felt that their blood vessels and muscles were frozen. Not only them, but also the Silver Moon Wolf, who was more sensitive than them, was even more obvious. This beast was straightforward. He left Duyan behind without hesitation and ran away without stopping. When the Silver Moon Wolf ran away, Duyan was stunned at first, and the next second, he wanted to turn around and run away regardless of Panya's request for help. Unfortunately, under Yejuju's ultimate cold current, his body's reaction was no longer as good as before. As soon as he turned around, he felt a knife coming from behind. It was Yejuju who saw him trying to escape and took the time to give him a ninefold knife. The knife was so fast that Duyan had to hold up his dagger to block it. With a bang, he blocked the knife, but the cold air rushed over him, making him shiver uncontrollably. The next second, he felt that his limbs were out of control, and even the usual easy turning action became difficult. The one who was worse than him was naturally Pan Ya, who was closest to Yejuju. His speed at this time had dropped by 1 level, and he watched the snow-white and transparent sword in Yejuju's hand slashing towards his neck. Ah! Dash! Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 369. Shouting unwillingly, Pan Ya tried hard to raise the dagger in his hand, trying to catch Yejuju's slash. But it was such a slow beat, my neck hurt, and all the strength in my body seemed to be drained. My body lost consciousness from the neck, but the whole body from the neck turned into ice cubes inch by inch. Yejuju's body turned upside down, and with a chirp sound, he appeared next to one eye. Under one eye's disbelieving and horrified gaze, Yejuju stabbed him in the chest with a knife. After killing 2 people, Yejuju withdrew his cold attack, glanced at their bodies wrapped in ice with regret, and withdrew his armor with a thought. At the same time, a system prompt sounded in my head. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. Destroying the HUYA team will reward you with experience *20,000. Searched can on Google. Tips: the host level increases, currently level 33, strength and stamina increase by 5 each. Intelligence, spirit, and agility each increase by 1 and have been automatically assigned to the attribute panel. Please check the details by the host. Before he could sigh with emotion that if he followed the protagonist Luo Feng, he would have meat to eat, he heard slight and fast footsteps coming from the distance, and then he saw Luo Feng walking out from around the corner. Seeing Yejuju standing there and the ice cubes frozen into ice that could vaguely be seen as human bodies, Luo Feng said with relief. "Brother Ye, are you okay?" Hearing this, Yejuju glanced at Luo Feng with satisfaction and said, "I have solved all 4 of them here, what about you?" Of course he knew that Zhang Zihu and Titu had been killed by Luo Feng, otherwise they would not have completed the system's hidden mission. Asking is just to give Luo Feng an excuse to talk. "Oh, brother Ye, the 2 of mine. Also solved." Obviously, Luo Feng was not used to Yejuju's casual attitude in talking about killing people. Yejuju saw Luo Feng's thoughts and said calmly, "That's how this world is. The weak eat the strong, the fittest survive. We are not like them, who can kill at will for profit. But you will never be a weakling who can be exploited by others. If you want to gain a foothold in this world, you must kill decisively, you. Got it?" After listening to Yejuju's words, Luo Feng fell silent. After a while, he raised his head and looked at Yejuju, and said solemnly, "Brother Ye, I understand." Seeing the determination in Luo Feng's eyes, Yejuju knew that Luo Feng completely understood. He smiled with satisfaction and reached out to pat Luo Feng's shoulder and said, "Let's go, that silver moon wolf has escaped. It's our prey and it's worth a lot of money. We can't let it escape from our hands." After saying that, Yejuju took the lead in chasing the silver moon wolf in the direction of its escape. Behind him, Luo Feng followed closely. Looking at Yejuju's back walking in front, at this moment, Luo Feng recognized Yejuju from the bottom of his heart and regarded Yejuju as his true friend, comrade in arms, and brother. With the image of the Red Queen transmitted through the mechanical fly in his mind, Yejuju effortlessly chased the escaping silver moon wolf. The beast instinct of the silver moon wolf drove it to instinctively stay away from Yejuju, because Yejuju had the power of ice that seemed to freeze everything in the world. Just like facing a lord-level monster, it cannot have the courage to resist at all. Naturally, the direction it fled was away from Zone D, and it would inevitably encounter Su Xian's team of warriors who were fighting a herd of beasts that were going crazy for unknown reasons. The unlucky ones will also be the warriors from this team who came with the mission to escort Su Xian. Sure enough, 5 kilometers away from the battlefield, Yejuju discovered this group of human warriors through the Red Queen, and was also surprised to find Su Xian, who was closely protected by the warriors. I have to say that this girl is indeed very beautiful, and Yejuju, who has experienced countless things, can't help but shine. It's no wonder that Luo Feng has always been obsessed with her. But this has nothing to do with Yejuju, and he doesn't want to get involved in Luo Feng's feelings. For the materials on Silver Moon Fierce Wolf, it was just a matter of saving Su Xian. Luo Feng did not have a Red Queen or a mechanical fly, but he could vaguely hear the sound of fighting in the distance, and asked doubtfully, "Brother Ye, there are sounds of fighting ahead. Has the Silver Moon Wolf encountered other warrior teams? Do we still want to go there?" "Well, that's right. Let's go there quickly. You can tell from the sound that there are a lot of monsters there." After saying that, Yejuju saw from the picture in his mind that the Silver Moon Wolf was approaching the battlefield, and he couldn't help but speed up. Seeing Yejuju speeding up, Luo Feng would naturally not fall behind, so he also speeded up and followed Yejuju closely. When the two arrived at the battlefield, they saw the remaining 7 or 8 warriors gathered together, guarding Su Xian in the middle. There were at least a dozen two-tailed tiger cats surrounding them, and from time to time they could hear the two-tailed tiger cats making a whining sound that didn't sound like a cat at all. Behind them was the silver moon fierce wolf, covered in blood, standing on a bus, lowering his wolf head and glaring fiercely at the two-tailed tiger cats and human warriors underground. Obviously, the two-tailed tiger cats were attracted by the aura exuded by the silver moon wolf, and they did not dare to hunt prey that was as close as Chi-Chi. The warriors were all terrified and desperate, and some of them were shaking slightly while holding their weapons. You reading? The strongest among them was only a mid-level warrior, and most of them were high-level warriors. Not to mention the silver moon wolf, which was obviously a high-level beast general. They could not guarantee that they could defeat the remaining two-tailed tiger cats. At this moment, everyone understood that there was no hope of escape, and the only way left was to fight to the death. And Su Xian was also terrified. Even though she had sent a distress message to the family before she met the two-tailed tiger cat, she didn't know how long it would take for the family to send someone to rescue her. Can she wait until then? Can she still see him alive? The boy she had a crush on? When she thought of the boy, Luo Feng's appearance could not help but appear in her mind. It's no wonder she was crazy about him. At this time, she still thought of Luo Feng. This was also Luo Feng's own performance, which left a deep impression on Su Xian. You know, when the adult golden vulture attacked the base city, she was about to be injured by the shattered glass, but it was Luo Feng who saved her regardless of the danger and used his body to block all the glass debris for her. Therefore, when she faced danger again, she subconsciously thought of Luo Feng. Seeing Su Xian was also in the crowd, Luo Feng's calmness disappeared instantly, and he didn't care about obeying Yejiju's orders. He jumped off the building without hesitation and rushed towards the silver moon wolf standing on the top of the bus. He wanted to rush to Su Xian to protect Su Xian, but unfortunately, if he wanted to rush to Su Xian, he couldn't rush to Su Xian without killing the silver moon wolf. At this moment, Luo Feng was fearless for Su Xian. The silver moon wolf naturally discovered Luo Feng rushing towards him, and he couldn't help but howl in anger, and turned around and jumped into the air to dive towards Luo Feng. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 370. Luo Feng rushed out like this, and Yejiju was not surprised at all. From the special way Luo Feng treated Su Xian in the play, he could guess that he would do this. Seeing the silver moon wolf pounce on Luo Feng, Yejiju did not rush to help, and did not worry that Luo Feng, who had the skills of a spiritualist, would be in danger. Although the silver moon wolf was a high-level beast general level monster, it was covered with wounds and its strength was less than half of its peak, so it was not to be feared at all. On the contrary, Su Xian was in much more danger. Because the silver moon wolf, which suppressed those two-tailed tiger cats and dared not move, was entangled by Luo Feng. Then the two-tailed tiger cats who were temporarily afraid of the silver moon wolf would definitely be affected by the little thing and become crazy, and continue to attack Su Xian and the others. And those warriors were obviously exhausted, but they could not withstand the siege of so many two-tailed tiger cats. Not wanting Luo Feng to see Su Xian die here with his own eyes and resent himself, Yejiju took action. His speed was no worse than Luo Feng's, and even a little faster. He left a shadow in the air while sprinting, and in a few seconds he rushed past Luo Feng and Silver Moon Wolf who were fighting, and rushed into the group of two-tailed tiger cats that were attacking. Suddenly, a scene that shocked Su Xian and all the warriors appeared. Yejiju was like a lord-level monster, as if he was in a beast-free state. He held a not expensive sword in his right hand, slashing left and right, seemingly without any rules, but actually simple, direct, and effective. He killed two two-tailed tiger cats with the strength of junior generals with one sword. The sudden attack also angered the remaining two-tailed tiger cats. With a series of whoops one after another, they all turned their bodies and surrounded Yejuju with huge red cat eyes. I thought that no matter how strong Yejuju was, he would not be able to face the remaining 7 or 8 two-tailed tiger cats so easily. The warriors who were about to help were shocked again. Perfect body skills. What did they see? Even a high-level warrior may not be able to master the perfect body skills before being promoted to the God of War level. It was actually displayed on a young man who seemed to have only the strength of a junior warrior. How surprising is this? At this time, Yejuju kept swinging the sword in his hand, which was the most basic sword movements of swinging, chopping, cutting, wiping, and cutting, and the two-tailed tiger cats with the strength of junior warriors could not resist. Even the encirclement could not surround Yejuju in the middle, and it looked like Yejuju was chasing a group of two-tailed tiger cats alone. Not long after, 2 more two-tailed tiger cats died under Yejuju's knife. The chopped-off huge beast head rolled to the ground, and the huge corpse of the two-tailed tiger cat, which was as big as a truck, was covered with a drop of blood. The strong and stinking smell of blood made several warriors with lower strength almost cry. The wonderful battle and the bloody scene made the warriors of Su Xin's team look at Yejuju as if they were looking at a god. Yes, it was a god. Just like Lei Shen and Hong Dangmian, killing monsters was as easy and simple as killing chickens. Yan. So much so that they all had an illusion. Are these monsters degenerated into low-level beast soldiers and so unbearable? Yejuju didn't care what they thought. He just wanted to end the battle quickly and leave here. Because, in the images sent by Hong Ho, several more batches of monsters gathered here. Most of them were medium and high-level beast soldiers, and there were also primary and intermediate beast generals. Although they are not strong, they are too numerous to form a small beast tide. Yejuju and a few warriors who are retreating cannot solve the problem. Attention! The beast tide is one of the most terrifying disasters in this world. The power is not even less than those emperor-level monsters that have lived for who knows how many years. It is even more terrifying. Because, although the emperor-level monsters are terrifying, there is always a chance to escape. But the beast tide is different. The monsters are surging like a tide, even the war god-level strongmen dare not stand in front. Because everything will be submerged by the tide of monsters. Yejuju is not worried about his own comfort. He is not afraid of the dense rat tide in the play. Because he has a battle armor that can fly high in the sky and avoid the beast tide on the ground. But he cannot guarantee the safety of Su Xin and his team of warriors. Unless Yejuju wants to fully expose his strength, he can temporarily stop the beast tide and give them time to escape. But does Yejuju want to do this? No. Of course he doesn't want to. At least he doesn't want to do it before he kills Li Yao. Keeping a backhand, killing a war god level warrior, isn't it good for him? Not to mention that he and Li Yao don't know each other yet and have no connection. Anyway, following the protagonist Luo Feng, the enemy who is destined to appear will always find a chance to come out. But it can't be avoided if Yejuju kills the Tiger Fang team in advance. Unless he and Luo Feng no longer go out hunting from now on. But is that possible? On the other side, Luo Feng completely broke out and fought back and forth with the seriously injured Silver Moon Wolf. From time to time, he also secretly used the telekinetic flying knife to stab the Silver Moon Wolf a few times. He couldn't kill the Silver Moon Wolf, but he also made the Silver Moon Wolf very angry. During the fight, Yejuju took the time to glance at Luo Feng and was immediately angry and amused. However, I admire Luo Feng's courage and his quick thinking in seizing opportunities. What do you think he is doing? After seeing Yejuju rescue Su Xin, he was in a good mood to fight with the Silver Moon Wolf, using the high agility and high attack of the Silver Moon Wolf to hone his body and combat skills. It must be said that all successful people are like this. Always better than others at seizing every opportunity to improve their strength. But is this the right time? If it were just the two of them, and the Lord-level monsters didn't come out, Yejuju would have the confidence that the two of them could return to the base safely. But with Su Xian, who was basically completely powerless, and his injured and tired warrior team, how could they take care of it with just the two of them? Thinking of this, Yejuju said loudly to Luo Feng. Luo Feng, this is not the time for you to hone your skills. Kill that wolf quickly. We need to take them away from here. Hearing this, Luo Feng, who was feeling good in the fight, felt embarrassed. He nimbly dodged the grab of the silver moon wolf and answered loudly. Okay, I got it, brother Yet. This will solve the beast. The conversation between the two made the warriors of Su Xian's team blush. After all, they are also warriors of the general level, at the very least, they are high-level warriors, and what about Luo Feng? He looks like a mid-level warrior, but he can fight with the high-level beast General Silver Moon Wolf, and he can even use the monster to hone his skills. How confident is this person to do such a sad thing? Across the Heavens, Marvel's Mechanical Hunter. Author, De Chuanqi. Chapter 371. You know, most of the warriors who practiced physical skills in the past did so in the training room. Even if there were people like Luo Feng, they would find monsters with similar strength to themselves. How could there be anyone like Luo Feng? Anyway, they thought they couldn't do it. Even though the Silver Moon Wolf looked seriously injured, it was not something that these intermediate warriors could easily provoke. But when they thought about it again, they felt relieved when they thought of Yejuju, whose physical skills were already perfect. With such a friend and big brother taking care of him, it's no wonder that Luo Feng had the courage to do this. Looking at Luo Feng, who was so confident and bold, Su Xian felt very complicated. I thought about how he happened to come to save me when I was in danger. How should I thank him? Then I thought about whether there was some kind of inexplicable fate between me and Luo Feng. Otherwise, why would he appear by my side every time? Is it that God has destined us to be together? Thinking about being together. Finally, she thought of her family, and her eyes dimmed. After the conversation between Yejuju and the other person, they both sped up, especially Yejuju. His knife was always aimed at the vital points of the two tiger cats. If the two-tailed tiger cats were not so fast and flexible, they would have been killed by Yejuju. Even so, there were only two left. On Luo Feng's side, in order to end the battle quickly, he always used the telekinetic flying knife to leave wounds on the Silver Moon Wolf in the gaps that no one could see. He wanted to control the flying knife to pierce the throat of the Silver Moon Wolf, but unfortunately, as a high-level warrior-level monster, the Silver Moon Wolf was not a vegetarian. At least, its reaction to danger was not bad. It could always find Luo Feng's flying knife in critical moments, and at the cost of injuring itself, it avoided Luo Feng's killing moves again and again. Sir, the monster is coming. Listening to the urging of the Red Queen in his mind, Yejuju also became anxious. After speeding up to kill the last two-tailed tiger cats, Yejuju turned back without stopping and rushed back to the battlefield of Luo Feng and the Silver Moon Wolf, and worked together with Luo Feng to kill the Silver Moon Wolf. Yejuju was not wearing armor, nor did he reveal the ice power on his body. Even if the Silver Moon Wolf sensed that Yejuju's breath was a little familiar, it did not expect that Yejuju was the human who scared it away before. Seeing Yejuju joining the battle, he was not afraid of the two people. He let out a long howl and fought the two people without fear. Seeing this, in order to kill the Silver Moon Wolf as soon as possible and end the battle, Yejuju subconsciously performed the 9-layer ice blade technique, and the ice power in his body was transferred to the sword in his hand. The sword was immediately filled with ice power, emitting a deep cold air that the Silver Moon Wolf was familiar with. The Silver Moon Wolf was immediately frightened, and its body involuntarily paused for a moment. In just a moment, Yejuju and Luo Feng attacked together, one on the left and one on the right, and rushed to the front of the Silver Moon Wolf, launching the most fierce attack. Puchi sounded twice in succession, but it was Yejuju's sword and Luo Feng's sword, one on the left and one on the right, stabbed into the eyes of the Silver Moon Wolf. Awoo, awoo. The painful and shrill howl sounded, and the blinded Silver Moon Wolf became fierce, no longer caring about anything else, risking the consumption of the remaining energy in the body, and swept out with its front paws fiercely, forcing Yejuju and the others to retreat. Then, the Silver Moon Wolf opened its mouth wide, took a deep breath, and a dazzling energy beam burst out from its mouth, sweeping 180 degrees in front of it. Yejuju and Luo Feng reacted quickly. They separated to the left and right and rushed over to the Silver Moon Wolf before the energy beam was shot out. The beam missed and shot dozens of meters away, collapsing the already dilapidated building and making a violent sound. Yejuju took advantage of the opportunity when the Silver Moon Wolf opened its mouth to shoot the energy beam and could not move its chin to expose it, and stabbed it fiercely into the left neck of the Silver Moon Wolf with a knife, and used inertia to slash it fiercely. Puchi, swish. Like the sound of a sharp blade cutting through leather, the entire left side of the Silver Moon Wolf was cut by Yejuju's knife. Blood spurted out, soaking a large area of the ground, and Yejuju had already stood up from behind the Silver Moon Wolf. The Silver Moon Wolf was hit hard one after another, but was unwilling to die. It turned its huge body and wanted to turn around and kill Yejuju and the others. Unfortunately, because half of its body was cut by Yejuju, and the energy in its body was consumed by the previous burst, it was no longer as agile and swift as before, but extremely slow. When it just turned around, it was greeted by Yejuju's icy knife, which stabbed into its throat fiercely. The knife stabbed very deep, passed through its throat, and directly into its heart. Ah, woo, ah. With a sad howl, the Silver Moon Wolf could no longer stand, and its huge body fell to the ground, shaking the ground with a loud booming sound, raising a large amount of dust. Then, the system voice sounded in Yejuju's mind. Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission. Rescue Su Xian's warrior team, kill the high-level beast general monster Silver Moon Wolf, and reward 20,000 experience points. Because the host used the 9-layer ice blade to kill a high-level beast general monster in actual combat, the 9-layer ice blade's swordsmanship has been improved, and the swordsmanship has been promoted to the 2nd level, and the power can be doubled when it bursts. Are you surprised? What a great surprise! I didn't expect that. Not only did he save Su Xian and kill the Silver Moon Wolf, but he also got the benefit of an automatic upgrade of his swordsmanship. How could Yejuju not be happy? Originally, he thought that he would have to spend a lot of money and get enough contribution points to buy the subsequent 9-layer Thunder Blade and evolve it into his own 9-layer Ice Blade. Who would have thought that the system would be so good and give such a big gift? This is not as simple as saving money and time for Yejuju. In other words, as long as Yejuju fights with stronger people or monsters in the future, as long as he uses the 9-layer Ice Blade to defeat them, he will have the opportunity to improve his swordsmanship. Thinking of this, Yejuju suddenly felt that the materials on the body of the Silver Moon Wolf, it's not good anymore. Where is the material better than looking for a higher level monster? He wished he could leave Luo Feng and others behind and go deep into the wild alone to find a higher level monster and kill a few to try. Fortunately, he was not blinded by the benefits. He knew that a small beast tide was coming not far away, so he hurriedly called Luo Feng to collect the materials from the Silver Moon Wolf. After the battle, the warriors of Su Xian's team all breathed a sigh of relief. The shocked and numb people came to the busy two people. The leading warrior and Su Xian spoke at the same time. Warrior, thank you for saving us. My name is Wu Ji, a warrior from the RH Alliance. Su Xian Luo Feng, and this big brother, thank you for saving me.